Hello, everyone. This is criminal profiler Pat Brown, and today I want to bring to you a very ancient mystery. As a matter of fact, a 2,400-year-old ancient mystery. Here's what happened. In the 1950s, in Denmark, in a little village called Tollund, a family went about the area and they were digging around in a bog, and they came across the body of a man. And they saw that they saw this man's face, they saw he had a rope around his neck, and they thought, oh my gosh, this man was murdered and buried here. They called the police. Police came and took the body, and there was examinations done. And then this is what the surprising information came out about this, that this man hadn't been recently deceased, that as a matter of fact, he had died around 400 BC, at the beginning of the Danish Iron Age. So, I mean, that was pretty amazing. And he was so well preserved. That's what made this so great. So this man was found in a fetal position. Let me show you a picture of how he is found. In a little fetal position like this. I mean, you could see his whole body is there. He was found naked except for this belt around his waist and the little hat on his head and the rope around his neck. They assume he was between like 30 and 40 years old, and he might have looked like that at the time that he was alive. Now, what they found was that when they examined him, was that he had some stuff still, in his stomach that they could analyze, and it came to be porridge. He had some porridge, and they call that his last meal. Now, this is the part I find really fascinating. The historians, in examining this across the board, have jumped to a conclusion that he was ritually sacrificed. And I'm like, really? What's the evidence of that? He wasn't buried with any objects, because sometimes when they do ritual sacrifices, you'll find that there's things around the body in a grave that show that something went down like that. There wasn't any of that. Just because he had a last meal doesn't mean the last meal had anything to do with any kind of sacrifice. Some of them say there were rituals that occurred before this man was supposedly hung. What rituals? Did they dance around a fire? Did they jump up and down? Did they sing a song? I mean, there's no evidence along with this body that any other rituals occurred prior to his death. And another interesting thing about this, the rope around his neck. The rope around his neck is not straight around like a strangulation would be, but it does go up like this, and there's no mark in the back, which does indicate hanging. But there's no broken hyoid bone. So usually if you're going to do a vicious ritual hanging, it's not going to be real soft and sweet. You're going to be like knocked off of something and hung from a tree, from a horse, something. It's not going to be pleasant. And probably you're going to have some kind of damage. Also, if you're being sacrificed, you would think there'd be some damage to the rest of the body, but his entire body shows no kind of injuries, no kind of bones. The bones aren't broken. Things aren't gouged out. Look how nice his face is. And as a matter of fact, they even say he's peaceful looking. So I'm like, what kind of peaceful sacrifice is this? And why would you think it's a sacrifice? Because the only information you have, and I believe that historians ought to base any of their conclusions on actual evidence. Other than that, just say you don't know. The only thing they have is that he was hanging when he died because he suffocated. That's all they have. Now, I can propose two possibilities here of what could have happened, which is much more likely to have happened than any kind of ritual sacrifice. One, he was found naked. Now, over the years, human beings have not changed. The minds of men have not changed. Sexual satisfaction has always been an issue for the human species. And sometimes you don't have a mate, so you attempt sexual satisfaction by yourself. Now, autoerotic asphyxiation is one methodology that quite a number of people have used over centuries. And just because this is a 2,400-year-old death doesn't mean they didn't do it back then because it's pretty simple. So autoerotic asphyxiation basically is you hang yourself with some item, and you're not jumping off a chair. You're not hanging from a tree, like jumping off of a tree so that you're, actually falling and strangling and maybe breaking your hyoid bone, likely doing so. No, what you're simply doing is putting it around your neck and bending your knees. Okay. So the idea is you're just compressing the sides of your neck so that the blood flow is stopped, so that your oxygen is is lessened, so that you get high. Essentially, you get kind of a happy high. And during some sexual activity, this can increase your pleasure. Now, what happens, the reason there are deaths during autoerotic asphyxiation is because sometimes they just take too long to get where they want to go. And so before they achieve their goal, they pass out. And once they pass out, their knees drop and their body drops, and they can't push back up because they're unconscious, and then they just die in that position. Oftentimes, a family will then find that their loved one naked, maybe just kneeling, and they're like, "What happened? How?" They think he's been murdered because they can't believe he could have died in that position, but they don't understand how it really works. So many persons have been found just like that. So there's a possibility that 2,400 years ago, this guy wasn't getting any. So he was pleasuring himself, tried autoerotic asphyxiation, and during that attempt, it just didn't go well, and he passed out and died. Somebody found him and said, "Oh my goodness." They cut him down, and maybe they just dug a little grave for him and set him in it, and they were done. Now, mind you, because we don't know, it is possible that he was actually clothed at the time the body was found. Just because he doesn't have clothes on doesn't mean those clothes could not have disintegrated. Now, the hat is in great shape. The rope is in great shape, and there's supposedly a belt that's in great shape. So you do wonder, if everything is in such good shape, why would all his clothing have disappeared? Why would that have disappeared? So I don't know. We'd have to study. Scientists would have to try to determine the likelihood of the clothing at that time disintegrating when the other things did not. They'd have to look into that. So it's possible he was clothed, and therefore it would be possible also that he simply hung himself. And you don't have to jump off anything to hang yourself. You can, again, just bend your knees. And instead of, with autoerotic asphyxiation, your intention is, as soon as you achieve your goal, you're just going to stand back up. But when you want to hang yourself, you can do the same thing, except just don't push up. Just basically relax, let your knees bend, constrict your neck, and then just wait and wait and wait and wait. And then you pass out, and that's it. That's one way people kill themselves. So this could have happened. So he could have either died from participating in sexual asphyxiation, or autoerotic asphyxiation, or he could have just committed suicide. I think those are two much more likely choices than this was a ritual sacrifice, when there's not one shred of evidence supporting a ritual sacrifice at all. So I just wish that when you're looking back at history, there's lots of interesting theories that can be out there, but at least theories should be based on, as much as possible, the evidence you have in front of you. I did a book on Cleopatra. I also did a documentary called The Mysterious Death of Cleopatra. I did that for Discovery Channel. And I got rid of the snake. I got rid of the concept that any kind of cobra killed her. But I also believe that she was murdered. And I didn't base that idea just on a guess. I based it on a tremendous amount of evidence. I went back to Egypt and I studied Nile inundations. I studied how the architecture was built. I studied there was just so many things. I studied war. I studied naval ships, everything about the whole history of the time and what happened in Egypt and Alexandria and so on and so forth. And so I based everything I came up with on evidence. Now, not everybody's going to agree with me, but at least I presented the evidence. So in this case, when I look at the evidence here, the only thing I see is that he suffocated due to not a judicial hanging. This was a simple hanging of just pressure on the neck, and therefore it is much more likely that he caused the death himself than he was murdered, because nothing there shows any level of violence. So I would find that he himself probably took himself out. So that's my thoughts on this. I think it's a fascinating case, but I just wish, again, pay attention to evidence and make sure anything you claim has good, valid evidence supporting it when you're looking at modern day crimes or when you're looking at historic crimes. If this is your first time to the channel, please do like and subscribe, and check my playlist for any cases you might be interested in, and check my playlist, the historical playlist as well, because I do have some older mysteries that I have analyzed that you might be interested in if you like mysteries and you like history. Thank you for being here, and I will see you another time.